I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James White, Field, Yates, Mina Kimes.
All right, so first play we're going to look at 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media, coming at you with another episode of Pat's Daily, brought to you by our good friends at PrizePicks. And today, I'm joined by friend of the show, Field Yates of ESPN, doing great work with the ESPN mocks and really all the info you're giving to all of us fans, giving us an idea of what might happen with that coveted number 4 pick for the Patriots. But I wanted to get you on to get a quick mock draft in the books, 4 rounds for an idea of how the Patriots can address some of their bigger holes. Also want to get your thoughts on the early part of the Mike Vrabel era. As we're a few months in now, we're starting to see how he wants to build this team. But before I get into that, my friend, how are you? Busy season, draft is almost in the books. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. We got 10 days from the time of this conversation until the actual NFL draft. And, you know, we're the hay is mostly in the barn here. It's past the preparation standpoint. It's getting closer and closer to the execution standpoint, which for me is a very exciting thing.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Mike Vrabel season, right? Not only Mike Vrabel, but also Josh McDaniels bringing some familiarity Patriots-wise, but even Terrell Williams on the defensive side, someone who has experience with Mike Vrabel and their defensive staff, very familiar. What do you think of the early days of the Mike Vrabel era? Some of the moves he's made, the additions, the subtractions, and also how he's built out this coaching staff, because as he said, he's trying to put a lot of support around Drake May, but also kind of make this a team where it's not a lot of excuse making. You know, the toughness and the accountability is back in the building. How do you feel he's done so far?
Yeah, I would say certainly that last part is probably what has stood out to me the most, because there is an unmistakable identity of a Mike Vrabel football team. And in Tennessee, it was a team that often punched above its weight in terms of on talent or on paper talent, right? It wasn't that the Titans were always 1 to 53, the scariest roster. It was that when they actually showed up on Sunday and got off the bus, he maximized the ability of pretty much every player on that roster. It was a grind it out, make it earn it type of style, led by a great running game, and some very, very tough defense. We have seen the Patriots kind of shift some of their roster personnel to play a little bit more like that Titans defense. You know, we've kind of seen a changing of the guard at the linebacker spot. That's probably where we've noticed it the most, right? In comes the likes of Robert Spillane. Out goes the likes of Jawan Bentley. We'll see whether the Patriots continue to do more work along that linebacker room, maybe more so through subtraction than through addition at this point, right? Because they've invested a lot of money already. And then specifically to the Drake May and the Josh McDaniels point, you know, I think they've done a lot. I don't know about as much as they possibly can, because I'm sure there are other moves that any team could have made, but they weren't able to because of a player's preference to go somewhere else or financial decision-making, whatever it might be. But put it this way, he's in a much, much better spot as Drake for success compared to, I guess, the day after he was drafted last season. You know, Stephon Diggs, if fully healthy, gives the Patriots their best receiver probably since Julian Edelman. I don't think that's much of a bar to clear, but I do think that's where things are at. It hasn't been a great run in terms of wide receiver play of late. On top of that, the team has an opportunity to finish its bookend tackle investment this offseason at number 4 overall. And Josh McDaniels, having been a coordinator for whatever it is, 16, 17 years in the league, and having done some great things within this system specifically, I think give Patriots fans some legitimate reason for optimism and hope right now.
And with all that optimism, I also like to sprinkle on some realism, just because I've been the guy who's tried to be really optimistic lately. And, you know, you do have to kind of see the areas where this could go wrong or where at least guys can improve. So with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels specifically, they were available for a reason, right? Maybe not fair with Mike Vrabel and then Josh McDaniels, obviously shown he's a better coordinator than a head coach. But where would you like to see those guys take the next step in their evolution now that they're back in some pretty significant positions?
Well, I think Josh McDaniels may have already taken that step, which is for so long when Bill Belichick or one of his disciples went somewhere, many of the familiar faces followed. What I think is really interesting about the Patriots offensive staff is that it's Josh McDaniels as the coordinator. And I don't think a single one of his position coaches has ever worked for or with Josh previously. It's a blend. It's some old Tennessee faces. It's some faces from the Cleveland Browns this past year. I mean, this is a melting pot offensive staff. So I do think that Josh is realizing that part of what will be, I mean, I'd imagine he's realizing part of what will be successful for him is not just the the Drake May and the evolution there is so critical. But it's not just doing what he has done well for a long time, but also sort of adapting to what the rest of the coaching staff is comfortable with. And I think that will also trickle down into the roster. The Patriots for a long, long time have held a very high standard for particular positions. I think about wide receiver for all those years. If you don't know, every option route in the book and have it figured out against every coverage and every leverage, then you're probably not going to play. It's a young Patriots roster right now. A very young wide receiver room, other than Stephon Diggs. You're going to have to kind of meet in the middle somewhere because this is not the same team that Josh has coordinated in prior stops. And when Josh was the Patriots coordinator previously, it was, if they didn't make the playoffs, it was a huge, colossal disappointment. I think the Patriots have a chance to make the playoffs this year, but I would not necessarily say that if they don't, people are going to cry a foul that it was a failed season, right? This team has had back-to-back top 3 or top 4 overall picks, number 3 last year and 4th this year. There's a lot of work still to be done.
Absolutely. And one of the nice things that Josh McDaniels and this whole coaching staff have really repeated is that they're putting an emphasis on making sure they're doing what the players can understand. I think understanding there's so many young guys who have to contribute in some way. So it's not the Tom Brady offense where you need all the verbiage, you need the years of history. You can kind of slim it down and start fresh with Drake May. Now, again, want to get into this mock draft, but before we do, Patriots, if we're going 4 rounds, that's 5 picks, and see if we do trades or whatever pops up. But I'm curious your perspective on what are those top 5 needs. Obviously, left tackle and wide receiver right at the top of that list. Curious where you think those actually line up. But then the other 3 positions in those picks, where do you think, as we're going into this, the Patriots should really be honing in position-wise?
Yeah, I think offensive line beyond left tackle should continue to be a need. They did patch together the right side of their offensive line by signing Morgan Moses this offseason. He's also, 34 years old. He's aged remarkably well, and he's been incredibly durable up until this past season. You got to be mindful of the age. You just do, right? I mean, these guys are durable until they're not. So I think further offensive line investments, really, I'd say beyond how many players beyond the next 2 years are a certainty along the Patriots offensive line? I mean, we're talking about one being whoever they pick 4th overall if it's an offensive lineman. And then 2 years from right now, Mike Onwenu, he won't be under contract. Morgan Moses, he won't be under contract. So the pipeline of the offensive line cannot be hit enough, in my opinion, for the Patriots. And then I still think, edge rusher is something the Patriots need to consider. Harold Landry gives them a shot in the arm for sure in terms of pass rush boost, but they were dead last in sacks last season. They need more than that. Maybe that comes in the form of Keon White's further development or consistency, but edge rusher is certainly something to keep an eye on for the Patriots. And then we'll see whether they shapeshift a bit at a couple spots on defense. They signed Marcus Epps this offseason to a 1-year deal. Does that mean they're going kind of a different way at safety as well? We shall see.
Patriots Daily is powered by Gametime, the best place to get tickets to all of your favorite events, not just sporting events, but concerts and shows as well. And they have their new feature called Gametime Picks, and it makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. They filter out the fluff and show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have super deals, they have great deals, they have amazing deals, and they have them right in the app. You can customize your spot and find the best place to see all of your favorite teams play. They have the lowest price guaranteed as well, along with event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. And you can also see your seat view right from the app. Not all ticketing apps have that, but Gametime does. You can see the Celtics, you can see the Bruins, you can see anything that's going on at TD Garden right here in the Boston area. So make sure you use Gametime when you're buying your tickets. With the Gametime Picks feature, all in pricing, seat views, and more, it is the best place to find tickets. So download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
And there's so many players you mentioned where they actually have taken a guy in the past couple years, and you just want that player to get with a coaching staff that can bring the best out in them. Like Keon White, you mentioned, Jalen Polk, and we'll see with some other guys, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas as well. But finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, let's dive into this mock draft and see what we can do for the Patriots. Now, first of all, I've already got it loaded up. Do we want to make any moves at 4, or do we want to start this draft and see how the board falls for us?
I think we can just go with 4. Just let the first 3 picks go as needed. Yep.
Well, it looks like PFF read your latest mock because Travis Hunter has fallen to number 4. Now, also, Abdul Carter, this is a ridiculous scenario. Of course, I think we can kind of respect the board a little bit here, but at the same time, do we want to open it up for a potential trade package?
No,
Because,
just no. Here we go.
let's
Welcome
just
to
do
Team
it.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter?
Yeah, welcome to New England. Start looking for real estate right now. Feels too
That
much
is
for
very
me
exciting.
here. Yep.
Gives you depth on wide receiver and cornerback. All right, for this second pick, we've addressed probably wide receiver. Is that where you think that Travis Hunter plays if he comes to New England in year 1? And where do you see
I
his
do. He'll play both. I mean, he's just way too talented at both. Truthfully, Taylor, I think it's become one of the more over-discussed things in the pre-draft process. Like trying to figure out where he's going to play. He's going to play both.
Yeah.
Play both at a really high level. Like he's outstanding. I think his ceiling is slightly higher at wide receiver than corner. I think it's wasted energy. I think teams are just saying, we'll figure it out once we get there. For the Patriots, they have a bigger need at wide receiver than corner, but I have felt that the whole narrative has been discussed too much because the truth is he's going to thrive both ways, and it's going to be determined by where he plays and what that team needs at a specific time.
I like that. We get a little bit too much into the split talk and not enough about this as a true generational prospect who can do something we really haven't seen very often in this league. Now, are you thinking offensive tackle with this pick? Do we have to address the trenches?
I think we do. Let me take a look at the board here and see where it's all shaped up, probably. No, still nobody that I would be. I mean, let's see where the.
Donovan
yeah. To me, it's Donovan Jackson pick, and I'm a way bigger fan of Donovan Jackson than PFF is. I have him as the 20th player on my board, so to me, this is good value getting him at pick 38. Yeah, he was a guard for much of his college career, but he played left tackle, for the most important games of this past season. He looked terrific. This is an extremely dependable player, good athlete. Checks a lot of the boxes for the guard measurables, maybe a little bit lower than where you want him to be, ideally at left tackle. But I got no issue taking Donovan Jackson here. I don't know how this guy doesn't become a really good pro, given the experience, the toughness, the tenacity, the strength, the personality. I'm in on Donovan Jackson here.
I just took him in my last mock, so thank you for the validation. Real quick, Ariante Ursary, do you think those guys are close at all, or is it Donovan Jackson and you're not thinking twice?
Well, overall, I don't think it's close. I've got Ursary in the 50s, and I've got Donovan Jackson at 20th overall. Now, if you're saying, hey, I got to line up and play a game tomorrow, and I need a left tackle, no questions asked. I mean, Ursary would at least be in the conversation. But, the Patriots got to get away from drafting just for need. I mean, these have worked out for need here. I wouldn't have taken, if it was Ursary and not Donovan Jackson available, I would have taken somebody much higher on the board. But Jackson at 20th on my big board at pick 38 is a blend of major value and major need.
I like it, Field. We're locking it in, brother. All right, now we're into the thirds. We've addressed offense twice, a little bit of defense. What are you feeling here? A running back and edge. We'll take a look at what's on the board. What do you think?
Yeah, I would. I hit Tate Ratledge right there. Guard from Georgia. Donovan Jackson would probably be forced out to left tackle in this scenario, but I just said I think the offensive line's a major priority, and I just think that this guy's way too solid of a prospect. Very good athlete as well, highly experienced Georgia player. This guy's got some serious dog in him, played obviously for the Bulldogs. Big Tate Ratledge guy. I've got check the big board right now. I've got Tate Ratledge at 66th overall. So we're at 69? I mean, come on now. Talk about meeting the value pretty good right there. So other considerations for sure there. I mean, wide receiver, having already been checked off, is huge for the Patriots in this scenario, but I do like Ratledge. Good value here.
Keep building the trenches. I like it. Also, does Ratledge have any center flexibility? I was wondering that with his profile.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I kind of always assume it's harder to find centers that can play guards than guards that can play center. It's really kind of a ball handling thing more so than it is like physical traits that he would lack. I would say center is definitely in play.
All right. Now, do you think we should address the defense with this pick, something in the trenches on that side? Or do you want to?
I'm gonna play. Okay, we're already back. Okay. Yeah, let's go to Femi Oladejo here. I actually think that's a good. Wow, Jalen Noel is still there. That's kind of interesting right there. I'm gonna go with Jalen Noel, who is. I'm surprised he's still available here.
As am I. Where do you think he's going to go on draft day?
I think he goes somewhere in round 2, so we're getting about a full round early. I've got him on the big board. He's at 58, so getting him at 77 is, to me, pretty reasonable value here, and the Patriots continue to add explosive playmakers. Noel this guy was instant offense. He's a big slot. Like, he's a small guy in terms of stature, but he plays big. So that's why I call him a big slot. Not like Marcus Colston type big slot, but super explosive. Just feels like he glides when you're watching him on the football field. Just has to be a little more consistent catching the ball. But Noel, man, this guy is he can press the easy button for your offense. You just give him the football and good things happen.
Another guy taken in a mock. You are making me feel real good, Field. All right,
let's go.
First pick of day 3. What are we doing?
Oh, wow. Wow, so Femi Oladejo is still on the board. Well, considering that we almost took him in the last pick, let's go with Femi here. Femi, really interesting prospect. For those that aren't familiar with this game, basically became an edge rusher in the 3rd game of last season for UCLA. He was playing stand-up inside linebacker. Carson Schlesinger breaks out. UCLA has some personnel changes up front, and bam, Femi Oladejo is this defensive end / occasional defensive tackle. He'll still line up inside as a 3 or 4 eye, and he was just doing some crazy stuff for UCLA last year. He's a developmental guy. He's going to take some time. He's got some strong hands, man. That guy can play the run from day one. That's going to matter to Mike Vrabel. So it's a bit of a swing here, as he is a guy that may not be ready to give you 8 sacks as a rookie, but to get, it looks like he's PFF's 60th ranked player, and my board has him at, let's see, Femi is at 54 on my board. So really good value. Really good value. Yep.
So we beefed up the trenches on both sides, and we got some speed for the wide receiver core. Fantastic stuff, brother. Now, before I get you out of here, after that really impressive mock draft, I think fans are going to be happy. Please let the people know what they should be looking out for that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, first draft is out every Monday and Thursday. So if you're interested, I'm actually pinning the latest episode to my profile over on Twitter right now, and we'll be doing lots of that. And then top 200 will drop this week, and then Taylor, it's just going to be kind of a run through. Man, I've got about 1 million podcasts and radio and TV appearances between now and April 24th.
And I appreciate you carving out time for us, brother. Thank you again so much for stopping by. And thank you all, as always, for watching. Now, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We will see you next time. Peace, y'all. Today, we're taking a look at Georgia linebacker Jalon Walker, why he makes entirely too much sense as the first pick of the Mike Vrabel Patriots era, and where exactly he could be used best at the next level. Walker started 1 season for Georgia, taking on early linebacker duties after 2 years as a situational rusher. The Longhorns slide right on a play-action dropback, leaving Walker 1v1 against fellow 2025 prospect Cameron Williams. The tackle tries using a hug technique to grab Walker, but the edge rusher keeps himself clean by stabbing Williams' chest and controlling his outside wrist. This jolts Williams back and causes him to raise his pads, allowing Walker to win inside with an arm over and flush the quarterback, influencing a check down and eventual drop. I actually thought Walker's 2023 pass rush tape was even more impressive than what he showed last season, as there were a wider variety of moves and he had more opportunities to show off his lower half flexibility. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to become a member of Patriots Press Pass on YouTube to get full access to videos like this and much more really fun content. I cannot wait for you to see it.